As the rebels get ready for their mission, Brody, the Imperial pilot, sees Chirrut sitting by himself and realizes this is his chance. Brody walks up to Chirrut and says, "Hello, my name is Bodhi Rourke, and I was wondering if I could ask you a question." Chirrut answers, "Let me ask you a question first, Mr. Rourke. If we destroyed the Empire tomorrow, would you still be an Imperial pilot?" Very confused, Bodhi answers, "No, of course not." Chirrut then says, "Well, that answers your question, doesn't it? If there's no Empire, how can you be an Imperial pilot? Just like if there's no Jedi Order, how can I be a Jedi?" Chirrut then gets up and walks away, leaving Bodhi confused, but fairly certain that he's on this mission with the Jedi, and that gives him great comfort. Unfortunately for Galen Erso, comfort isn't something she can find right now. Jin knows she's leading these men to their death for a goal that isn't her priority, because if she's able to save her father, she's going to leave all these men behind. And as she gathers her crew for a mission briefing, she knows each and every one of them can see through her facade. She begins, "Alright everyone, you know your missions. Saw Gerrera and his crew will sneak their way to the farthest perimeter of the base, and then work their way back, blowing up as much as they can, hopefully driving most of the Imperial forces out to meet them. Once Sauce people set off their first explosion, Cassian, K2SO, Chirrut, Baze, and I will sneak into the base and blow up the shield generator. The shield must be destroyed by noon Scarif time, or the rebel fleet won't be able to pick us up or blow up the base. Does everyone know their part? There aren't any questions, are there?" Baze Malbus stands up. "I've got more of a statement than a question. Chirrut and I won't be going with you, Jin. The Force is telling my friend that we'll be better use down in the trenches with Saw Gerrera." Very uncomfortable with this new development, Galen Erso goes to Chirrut and says, "There's no one I trust more than you and Baze, Chirrut. I need you with me." Chirrut apologizes. "I'm sorry, Jin, but the Force is very clear. My path is a path of destruction, not of espionage. For this mission to succeed, you must do it without us, Jin." Saw Gerrera laughs. "This is excellent. It's been quite a while since I had Jedi under my command." Angrily, Baze yells out, "You will stop calling us Jedi." Jin stands up and says, "Save your fighting for Scarif. I guess we're going at it alone, Cassian." K2SO turns to Cassian and says, "This will seriously limit our chances of survival." And with that sentiment in mind, our heroes leave Jeddah for Scarif. Outside the shield generators, on an approach to Scarif, over the intercom, Bodhi says, "Imperial cargo transport 42069, returning from leave, requesting permission to enter Scarif atmosphere." The Imperial Communications Officer replies, "Cargo ship 42069. Please follow these coordinates." And then all of a sudden the communications officer goes silent. Then quickly comes back and says, "Please fly in a holding pattern until we get you the coordinates for a landing space." Very nervous, Bodhi turns to Jin and says, "This has never happened to me before." Down in the Scarif command center, the communications officer looks up to Director Krennic and says, "Sir, what's my next move here?" All the cargo ship's information checks out. On any other day, I'd let them land. Krennic says, "Then maybe you should be fired for incompetence. I want to know where that ship is coming from and who's on board." The communication officer responds, "But sir, I'm following all the Imperial protocol." And Krennic snaps back, "Well, maybe it's time to change Imperial protocol." Just then an Imperial officer interrupts. "Director Krennic, you ordered me to tell you the exact moment Galen Erso arrived, and he's in your office." Krennic turns and starts to leave the room, but over his shoulder he yells, "We're gonna change Imperial standards, starting with that cargo ship. I want every ship going on and off this planet inspected before the crew is able to disembark." Once gone, the Imperial officer says out loud, "That man is getting more and more paranoid every day." Back on the cargo ship, Bodhi, Rourke, and Galen Erso hear the communications officer come back online. "Imperial Transport 42069, you're cleared for landing. New protocol demands a boarding party come inspect your ship before you're able to disembark. So please land on landing pad 5 and wait for further instructions." Bodhi is horrified and turns to Jin and says, "They've never done this before." Jin smiles and says, "It's alright, Bodhi. I needed a wardrobe change anyway." Then she yells back to the crew, "It looks like the fighting's going to start sooner than we thought, gentlemen." Galen Erso waits nervously outside Director Krennic's office. A few decades ago, Galen had offered his genius to help the Republic end the Clone Wars. He was immediately put into the military's Research and Development Department and was given an assignment to work on a secret weapon. But then the Supreme Chancellor declared himself Emperor, and Galen Erso was taken away from his family and brought to Scarif. And now for 20 years, he's been a prisoner whose only crime was his genius. And as Galen Erso watches the warden of his prison walk towards him, the only feeling he has is a murderous rage. Director Krennic speaks first. "Galen, why so angry? Remember when you used to be happy to see me?" Galen answers, "I do remember. We used to be friends even. But that's before you kidnapped me and took me away from my family." Krennic sighs. "Galen, you've been singing this same tune for 20 years, and I've been telling you the same thing. If you tell us where your family is, we'd be happy to go retrieve them for you. But we've already had that conversation, and I'm here to talk about something else. Namely, an Imperial pilot who went missing a few weeks ago, and whose last known location was your office, Galen." Surprised, Galen says, "What? Do you think I killed this man?" Krennic draws his blaster and points it at Erso's head. No, Galen, I think you inspired this man to go against the Empire. I think you gave him our secrets and sent him to the Rebel Alliance, and maybe even the Senate. So why don't you come clean right now, Galen? Tell me what business a cargo pilot has in the office of the head of research. Galen smiles. Krennic, you know damn well that blaster is an empty threat. You kill me, and Grand Admiral Thrawn will have your head on a pike. Besides, I'm the only one who knows how to build those dark troopers that you're so fond of. Now, I'm assuming the pilot you're referring to is Bodhi Rourke. If you'll check the tapes of the cafeteria, you'll find he's the man I have lunch with 3 times a week. I'm sorry, Krennic. I didn't know that making a friend was against the rules. But you're right, there was something nefarious going on. Bodhi would bring me information from my home planet of Gage. Since you won't allow me communication to the outside world, he was my only connection, and I'm sorry he's gone. And with that, Director Krennic turns and walks away, but once again talks over his shoulder. You better be telling the truth or so, because if you're not, the Emperor himself won't be able to help you.